Welcome to Rope Dropping Knowledge, where we guide you through the magic of Disney.
Hey.
Hello.
Episode 169. Last episode of September.
Yes.
Yeah. So, just before we start, I know we have a lot of people in Florida right now. So we're just sending out positive thoughts to them. Our one super fan in Florida said that she's okay. So we're happy for that. But, we make a lot of jokes about Florida, but, obviously this is a very serious time, and we just hope everyone is okay. We know there's a lot of damage. We know it's going to take a while to sift through all the damage. Mm-hmm. And then the hurricane is still ongoing. I think it went back out into the Atlantic and picked up power because the way hurricanes work is they're powered off of hot water, basically. So that's why there was usually, up until this year, there wasn't even any hurricanes really on the West Coast because our water's too cold.
Oh.
But now everything's heating up, and we had one down in Mexico. Yeah. And, the Florida, weather, kind of more Caribbean, they have a lot of warm water. And so that's why they get hurricanes every year. But this hurricane is like record setting. So, but then it gets over land and then runs out of fuel, which is the hot water. So it goes down to a tropical storm, but then it moves once it passes the land because, Florida's a peninsula. It goes over Florida and it hits the Atlantic Ocean, and then it gets more water again and heats up. So now it's like on to like South Carolina and stuff. So it's still a lot of hurt to come. The pictures and videos we saw are crazy. There's people who are locked in Disney hotels, so we hope they're okay. Lots of cast members obviously are out there, so we definitely hope they're okay as well. So it's times like this is scary. California, we have the earthquake issue. And so that could easily, something similar could easily happen to us, So
without warning, though.
Yeah.
At least with hurricanes, there's some sort of warning preparation. With
you can kind of
earthquakes,
see
it just hits whenever.
It hits whenever, right? Yeah. So it's, so lots of, positive thoughts going out to them. Hopefully it's not as bad as they think it is when they assess all the damage. Obviously, there's going to be billions in property damage. I mean, I don't think that's going to be a question, but right now we're just concerned about lives, and hopefully I haven't heard anything, but obviously you hope there's no loss of life, but if that's not the case, we hope it at least is very, very minimal. So okay,
so stay safe out there.
Stay safe. And we have a new winner for our September giveaway with the Hocus Pocus backpack, the Loungefly. That was Susan Anderson, one of the NorCalorati. And, we haven't shipped it out yet. I think you'll be shipping out tomorrow.
Yeah, I told her maybe today, but I guess I didn't make it. So maybe tomorrow. Sorry, Susan.
Yeah, we're always honest. If we didn't ship it out, we'll let you know. We've lagged this week. But we'll get that out to you as soon as possible.
Not we.
Well,
I lagged.
Okay, I'll let you take the blame.
I mean, if it was we, I could have been like, you do it.
I've shipped them out before, and then I messed up, and you don't let me do it anymore. I forgot to put in the swag, the stickers and stuff. Okay, so congratulations, and we'll be having another Halloween-related giveaway in October, but we're just not announcing it this week. October hasn't started yet. So October starts Saturday, October 1st, and on October 1st, we will be back at the parks.
Yep.
And that means another crack at the Disney Loungefly Princess Wallet. So no one's found us yet. Just to give you guys a hint, we are probably going to be in Disneyland for the vast majority of the day if we're not in downtown Disney.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be playing host to two of our cousins, one of whom has never been to Disneyland. And so they just want to do one park. And so they only bought tickets for one park. So we're going to be with them. So we're probably not going to be doing any park hopping. And so, yeah. So we're going to be a lot easier to find because we're only going to be in one park instead of going back and forth. So
well, usually it is easy to find us. Just go to Sonoma Terrace.
Yeah, in the evenings, yeah. But they're not. Most people aren't going to move their entire family to find the wallet,
unless we were Jessica, our last. She was.
But she happened to be there. I don't know if she would have crossed. Just because of a wallet. So
she actually went to Sonoma Terrace to look for us.
Yeah,
that happened to be the one time we weren't at Sonoma Terrace.
We actually did go later, but it was just that 1 hour or so. We were just down the avenue a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you see us, just come up and say, "Hey, do you have my wallet?" Hey, we want your wallet. It could be like a mugging, a Disneyland mugging. But yeah, first come, first serve. So the first person to find us and ask about the wallet gets it.
Yep.
So that's simple. And as always, if somebody does find us, the next time we are at the parks, we will have a new giveaway. So we'll have something at least every time, we're at the parks, unless someone finds us that day early or anytime. That's the only time we won't have one. All right.
Well, back to the hurricane. So obviously Disney World is closed today and yesterday. Not sure if it'll open back up tomorrow. They only said the 27th and 28th. But the Orlando airport is closed through tomorrow. It won't open back up till Saturday.
Right.
And then same with Universal Orlando and the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
Those are closed yesterday and today. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye out, see if they'll reopen tomorrow. Probably not, because don't they have to...
Well, I don't even know how much damage the resort actually sustained. I know that there was the Dolphin and Swan, or Swan and Dolphin. I know that was flooded.
Oh.
But I don't know about the rest of the resort.
Right.
And I don't know how long it takes. Because like when we were at Disneyland, and I remember when we had that earthquake, and it shook everything.
Yeah.
They shut everything down. Right. Everybody came out. And then it took a while to do all the tests to get everything running.
Yeah.
So with a hurricane where everything is soaked, there's probably lightning strikes, there's probably structural damage in certain areas. I'm sure that they're going to like triple the tests. You know what I mean? And those tests might last over a period of days, not just hours.
Right.
So, and I also don't know the situation with the power. I know Disney has generators, but I don't know if their generators were meant to sustain rides. I know maybe it's just meant to sustain
for lights and
heating
just
or something, life support type stuff. Essentials. So, and I don't know if I'm sure they have their own grid. Because and that was the advantage of having Reedy Creek. Disney paid for their own systems and stuff, but we don't know if they were damaged. So, I'm
surprised
know.
They only said for the 2 days that they'll be closed. When the airport said, no, we're closing through Friday.
Well, that means probably not a lot of people are coming in. So I don't know. I mean, maybe because there's people who are trapped on Disney. There's people who are showing their video footage of being in a Disney hotel and can't leave.
Yeah, because, when you go to Disney World, you get multi-day tickets.
Right.
And Disney already said that, they can extend. I think they're extending it to a year. Like you can use it up in till 2023.
Right. So I don't know if they're just going to open to let those people continue their vacations, which is kind of weird because I'd probably want to go home. But maybe that's it. I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine too many local people are thinking about Disney right now.
Maybe it's just to open so that they can get food like at restaurants and stuff because they've been stuck, right? And then they can't go home yet because the airport's not open yet.
Yeah,
so
but I'm wondering
it's just opening food places.
But I don't even know, and we'll talk a little bit about cast members later. But I don't even know how much staff is going to be there. Like
Oh, yeah.
if I'm living in an area, because it hit Orlando pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm living in an area where I got to take care of my family, you know, or whatever, schools are definitely shut down.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to go to work.
Yeah, I'm not going to know if I could go to work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't know how many, if they can get a full staff in. So, yeah, I think probably maybe they meant at least a couple days.
Yeah.
And who knows? Yeah, it's a weird time. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated on, you know, I'm sure there's better news sources than us, but
Yeah.
anything we find, we'll put on Instagram and Facebook, of course. All right.
All right. So, well, sad news is Merriest Nights has been canceled at Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And we're wondering why. Like, was it not profitable? Because all of their After Dark stuff is profitable. But, you know how Disney is trying to listen to the tourists. So maybe they've had complaints that the family that bought a full day ticket had to leave at 6 p.m. You know, because during the holidays, you get, no matter what time, what day of the week it is, you're going to have tourism, right? That's why we're blocked.
Right.
So,
And it would be during the time where most Magic Key holders are blocked.
Right.
Yeah.
So then if you have Merriest Nights or an After Dark event, maybe their worry is that, or the complaint is that the family from Colorado, that's who Chapek used.
Their hypothetical Colorado family.
Yeah, Chapek used Colorado. The Colorado family who came to Disneyland and bought a full day ticket now cannot have a full day at Disneyland. They have to leave at 6 p.m. Because it's closed for Merriest Nights. So I think that's probably the theory why Disney's not doing it, because if they're going to focus on the Colorado family, then they're going to focus on the Colorado family. They're not going to try to, you know. So we think that's the reason why it was canceled.
I think that's what some people think. I think
Yeah.
I think that could be part of it. It might be a big part of it. I don't know. I think because since they switched to the new Inspire key, so there's no Magic Key holders during you know the majority of December, except during the weekdays. But even then, it's sparse. I think they think they're going to make they're going to make enough money in December anyway, because all they're going to have is tourists. And two, just like Oogie Boogie Bash, or just like, you know, any type of ticketed event or any type of thing in business, period, it costs money to put on.
Yeah.
So let's say, I mean, and again, I have no idea what the numbers are, but let's say it costs, I don't know, just to make all the stuff, and it costs a cost of, like, let's just say $1 million. I'm just pulling out a number. Who knows what the number is, right? But their ROI on that season for all the things is they typically make, you know, $20 million, right? So that 20x is pretty good. But now they're not spending anything, and maybe they think they can make that $20 million anyway. You know what I mean? And so it's, I don't know, you know, I mean, that was a big delta. So, but, you know, so maybe it costs, like, let's say, like, it costs $5 million to do everything, and maybe they're going to make $15 million, and now they can just, it's kind of like it'll equal out if they just don't do it, put down the cost, and they'll just not have any Magic Key holders. They'll make that difference anyway. So,
well, also, if you're just going to have tourism in the month of December, let's say, why would a tourist buy a one-day ticket to Disneyland that costs $200 a day? Let's say it's $150, and buy a ticket that costs another $150 for after 6.
Exactly.
Why would they spend $300 for one day?
Yeah.
So that's why they're like, forget about that after dark thing.
It adversely affects the favorables.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Magic Key holders would
buy it.
We're the ones who would buy it.
Yeah, because we're blocked. So let's just buy this so we can go to the parks after 6. You know, at least we'll be there after 6.
And we're more we're more excited about new Disney stuff or different Disney stuff. So,
and that's the other thing, is it's not that different, because the parade with Oogie Boogie Bash, the parade you see is not a parade you usually see at the parks.
Right.
the trails, the treat trails, and the character meet and greet, that's not something you see when you go to DCA during Halloween. But Merriest Nights, the parade you see is the same parade we all see.
During the day.
The Christmas parade.
Right.
During any day, right?
Well, during any Christmas day.
Yeah. And then the food is the same. The characters, maybe you'll see a few little parties with Mickey and Minnie in the costume. I mean, the Christmas dress and stuff. But you see them walking around regularly on a Christmas.
And if you block the pass holders, your Colorado family's not going to get that.
No.
They're going to be like, well, wait a minute. Why am I have to pay an extra $150 for what I already saw during the daytime? You're just making me leave early.
Yes, exactly. So it's not different.
Why do I have to pay an extra $150 to get a day that any other type of the year I would get for free?
Right.
So, not for free, but for just a single ticket price.
Yeah, and that was the reason why I think Merriest Nights wasn't. And their first year doing it was only last year. Mm-hmm. So they've only done it 1 year, but I think maybe they didn't get that many. Like Oogie Boogie Bash sold out in 5 days, but we'll go into why later. But but it's different, right? It's not. It is a private event,
right?
When you go to Merriest Nights, I don't think they felt like it was such a private event. It's like,
it's a private event for stuff you already get.
Yeah.
So it's not a special event,
right? Right.
It's a private event, but it's it's kind of like, hey, I got the McDonald's to myself. Well, that's great, but everybody who came to McDonald's before 6 o'clock got the same thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I guess, that makes sense why they canceled it. And when we talk it out, that
makes sense, right?
Yeah, they should cancel it.
Especially if their model is, hey, the Colorado family or whatever. And we use Colorado because that's what Chapek used. He said it in an interview as an example. Look, a Colorado family, blah, 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 will spend more money, da-da-da-da, or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At some interview. But anyways. So, Oogie Boogie Bash. So this year, unusually sold out within 5 days. Last few years, it took at least, I think they said 30 days or something. I forgot. Mm-hmm. But this year, it sold out because of scalpers buying it up. And Disney did crack down on these scalpers. So they started to resell on like StubHub and stuff like that for like $500. Mm-hmm. And we thought $175 was expensive. Oh, excuse me, $179. Yeah. We paid $179 per ticket. So Disney cracked down on this, and they refunded the party who bought it to the people who are reselling.
The original purchaser.
And then they banned, if they're Magic Key holders, they got banned.
Oh, if they sold it? Oh, no, if they bought it.
They bought it.
Wait a minute. You mean originally bought it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They can't track who the third sub-seller is. Or whatever, sub-purchaser.
I don't know. I don't know if they were like waiting for people to show up and then they were banning out.
Oh, no. They contacted them. Because, when you buy a ticket, you have to put all your information in.
Right. So it says, well, we're going to refund you, but you are banning you also.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the reason why it was sold out so fast, because they blocked off a whole, maybe 10 tickets. I don't know. I thought there was a limit, though, but I don't know.
Well, if a lot of people do it.
Oh, yeah, the whole family.
Well, I don't. It's probably wasn't just one family. It's probably just a lot of people who knows it's sold out. Just like anything else,
Yeah.
It's like special that comes out, and it's like a special Disney item.
Oh, yeah. We get a lot of those merch people reselling, but Disney doesn't really care.
Well, they do. No, they've been.
I mean, before they didn't care as much about that as Oogie Boogie Bash, because that makes less people chances for more people to actually
go into the park,
and then they're gouging.
There's a higher
prices.
cost,
yeah,
associated with it, because people who go to Oogie Boogie Bash, they're not losing out on the ticket price, but they're losing out on people actually enjoying the experience, which is marketing, which is the stuff they buy once they're in the park.
Yeah,
parking, hotel stays. Mm-hmm. They're losing out. Like if you bought. I don't know, what was the last big toy or whatever. I just remember when we saw people buying the Abominable Snowman. on the bobsled.
Well, I saw on the internet the Figment bucket.
Yeah.
That people, and that's like.
See, that when somebody buys, the Figment bucket, let's just use that as an example. If somebody buys a lot of those and resells it, it's not, Disney doesn't like it, and they'll try to crack down on it, but they're only losing out. They're not losing out on anything.
Yeah.
Because the people who would go to the park to buy it are the ones probably selling it. and then everyone else got it who's just happened to be at the park when it was available. Mm-hmm. I don't think having a Pigment bucket isn't going to... Pigment, whatever. That's not going to get somebody from Colorado to go to to the Disney World because they have a special bucket, right? But Oogie Boogie Bash would. There's people who would travel for that or do a little mini vacation around that,
right? So
that really hurts.
Yeah,
and if you're selling it, especially to people who are like locals or whoever, it's kind of like. It's almost like
you're like selling it online on StubHub.
Yeah, it
I don't even know how that works because
you
have to put your name on every ticket. Mm-hmm. When I bought that, I bought 2 tickets. I had to put your name on the second ticket, and you're the person who you remember when Hal only scanned it and took a picture of us. So I guess anybody could be Brian, right? So, but I guess that's what they did. They just
You're really hurt. It really cuts closer to their bottom line when you do that.
Yeah.
Because, and there's another negative backlash. Like, oh, I can't get a ticket anyway. So then next year people won't even try.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah. People next year's like, oh, it sells out in 5 minutes. Forget it.
Yeah. And the people who do buy it, you're also looking at wealthy people who just want to buy it and they may or may not even go. If you can, how much was the highest one you saw?
$500.
All right, so if you could spend $500 on a single Oogie Boogie Bash ticket, it's probably like you just got spare money. You know what I mean? And you may or may not even show up.
Well, that's the case for even merch. Why would you pay $200 for a Figment bucket?
If you're a collector, I guess, but you can't collect an experience.
Oh, yeah.
You either go or you don't. You
could always collect or resell it again for even higher.
Or if you're just one of those people that have, 300 Loungefly backpacks, that I see. There are people like that. Yeah. But at least that's something tangible that you can keep forever.
Yeah.
You can't keep going to Oogie Boogie Bash. It's a thing that you either go to or you don't. And it lasts for that one night. So, yeah, it is weird. I remember when I was a lot younger, I was thinking about starting a business where I would just have a bunch of email, and I'm sure people have already done it. I thinking about being a scalper, but for but for open table, and I was going to just book.
And then sell reservations.
But the way I would do it would be I would book only for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, for the holidays where people feel pressured to take out a loved one, right? And then sell you want to go to this nice restaurant? Well, I have a reservation. Just use this name, and this email. And I'd have maybe 100 email accounts, Gmails or whatever, and just do that. But then I was like, it's kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily unethical, but it is kind of scummy. It's shady. It's shady. Yeah. And then some of the nicer places started requiring credit cards because I think some people probably did do that. Yeah. I probably wasn't an original thought, so I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna put a lot of energy into that.
I remember when I was a kid, we weren't scalping, but what happened was we all went. The family went. I think there was 4 of us or something. Me and my cousin and my parents. And I think my sister wasn't even born yet. I don't remember. Anyways, my dad had friends who would meet us there, who I guess were cast members, to give us free tickets. But we were waiting and waiting, and they didn't show up at the Esplanade or whatever it was. And so he's like, let's just buy the tickets and go. As soon as and back then there's no cell phones. So we just bought it, and then they showed up.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, great. We already bought tickets. And they showed her, gave us tickets. And I'm like, oh, now we have double tickets. And so then we were trying, and back then I think the tickets were like $30 for 1 day pass. And there wasn't DCA yet. So there wasn't cell phones. There weren't DCA. There's no internet. So then we tried to resell them to whoever walked by. And then this one lady was like, and then, the term Karen wasn't invented yet. So this one lady, they're trying to scalp Disney tickets. Ha, 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 ha. Because scalping back then was only at concerts. Like, what are you trying to do? Scalp Disney tickets. Like, dude, if you don't want it, just leave. Like, kind of like what my dad said. Like, don't be like, screaming and yelling. And so, yeah, but we sold it to this Asian family. Like, they trusted us because we were Asian. But yeah, they were like, this is not a concert. Why are you trying to scalp Disney tickets? We're like, dude, we have extra tickets. We just want to take it back.
The whole feeling around scalping is kind of weird too, because I had a friend, and I remember this big argument we had because I would make fun of him. His dad owned friend's Mike. He's probably listening, so he knows who he is. And I'm the kind of person, and to Tracy's chagrin, who always plays devil's advocate to everything. So it doesn't matter what side of an argument you take. I'm like, well, look at it this way, Or, I'm not like a mean devil's advocate, like a contrarian. I don't do it to like just, make people mad, but I do it to try to like, from a philosophy standpoint, like, well, maybe this, And he's a super free market conservative guy, like fiscal conservative, his whole family, Love his family, though. His family's great. But they were always talking about the markets and how America is just a meritocracy. No one gets lucky. It's all based on hard work and everything. That was like their religion. I mean, it was like they're staunch believers in that. But then his family wanted to go. Well, he wanted to go, but his I think maybe like his sister wanted to go to a concert. I forget which concert it was. Oh, it was Alice in Chains. That's how long ago this was, right? And so, and because we were both, barely out of high school, and so, and he wanted to go there, and it was like his favorite band, and there were people back then. This is before like the big .com and everything. You actually scalpers waited in line. Like, and when I say waited in line, I mean waited in line like outside, like, not online, And so all these scalpers bought up all the tickets, and it was just like, and he was so angry, and I'm like, well, and then I would be like, well, that's a free market system. They got up earlier than you. I mean, they stood out, and they spent the night. They camped out in the cold. You didn't do that. They got the tickets. Now they can do with them. That's pure capitalism right there. If you're a pure capitalist, you can't be mad at that. You could be disappointed, but you can't be mad.
I think I'm capitalist slash socialist. Like, yes, make as much money as you want, but give us some too.
Well, I mean, it was just like, and it's like, yeah, you have the right to be disappointed, but you can't. Just my point is when it affects you, when somebody like gets there before you get mad, and when somebody takes the resources you wanted, you get upset. I'm like, but that's pure capitalism, You can't be, because in Europe they don't have like anti-scalping laws. Believe it or not, even though they're more socialist in the United States, they don't have in most countries anti-scalping laws. If you want to buy 1,000 tickets and then resell them at a higher price, they're like, well, that's you, So it is. I thought it was just kind of funny, and I would bug him about it. He would get so angry.
It's funny,
and I'm like, "Well, that is a free market system, And because people back in the day used to make. I mean, there's people who scalp tickets for a living.
Yeah,
I remember the one time we were waiting. I think you were with me, and we were waiting at the sushi place, and we saw people back when the Chargers were still here, and we saw all those dudes who were selling. They were in this van, and they were just like, what are you doing? It's like all these black dudes, hanging out. And we're just like,
what are they selling tickets?
You were like, what are all these people doing here? They're not buying sushi. And I'm like, no, because the stadium's right down the street. They were scalping tickets.
Downtown?
Yeah, they're not from this part of San Diego. Yeah. They're just here because they're making money, because it was a Raiders game. And so those tickets sell out quick because the Raiders and the Chargers, they're like super rivals. So they probably got tons of tickets, and they probably, if they made 20 grand that day, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody like made 20 grand in profit, you know, it was crazy.
Well, look at the Oogie Boogie Bash. I think it's only $179 and they're selling it for $500.
Yeah.
Disney's like, nope.
Yeah, Disney will try to
We're
cut
giving
down.
you back your $175,
But you can't come to Disney anymore.
but you can't come to Disney anymore.
Unless you buy a single day ticket and become a favorable. Right now, you are the most unfavorable of unfavorables.
That's right, because they have to be Magic Key holders to get the pre-sale.
Yeah.
We got the pre-sale, so they were Magic Key holders.
Yeah. Or they could have just been signed up for a free D23. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Not using your noodle. Should have done that.
Yep.
All right.
Well, yeah, that's the scalping of Oogie Boogie Bash tickets.
Scalping of Oogie Boogie.
Okay, so as of tomorrow is the last day of the Disney cast members' old attendance policy. So Disney has a new attendance policy, work attendance policy for cast members, and it's effective October 1st. And a lot of cast members, they announced this in June. A lot of cast members has voiced their disdain for this new policy because the current system is a point system. And this is an hours missed type of metrics. So what I think the point system is kind of like what we have in the corporate world, where you have this amount of points, and if you take a day off, you take X points out. It's like hours. You have 8 hours, you take 4 hours, you have 4 hours left. I think that's what the point system means. And the hours missed means if you miss this many hours, you're going to get penalized. You're going to get written up.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I don't know what the point system means, but I read the new policy. The new policy actually makes it compatible with the rest of corporate America.
Yeah.
It makes it more like corporate America.
Well, they think that they're being penalized because if you call in sick for more than 3 days, that's like, I don't know, 16 hours or whatever. I don't know. Then you're going to be written up.
So this is the way it's like the rest of corporate America. This is the way it's not like. From what I've read the policy, and I don't know.
Yeah, but you have to see what it was before. And that's why they're complaining.
Well, I can tell you what it is now and what they're complaining about.
Okay.
They're complaining about, like, if you miss exactly 25 hours or more, you can be written up.
Okay.
So disciplinary kicks in.
Okay.
And they have typical corrective action, disciplinary policy, verbal warning, written warning, final warning, termination. And if you've been there more than 5 years, you get like 2 warnings instead of just
But
one.
what if you're sick?
So if you're sick, you could be sick up to 24 hours. That's why they're talking about the 3 days.
3 days. Okay.
Right. So.
And why is this conveniently October 1st, the day after the 80 hours of California supplement sick expires? So now you really can't call.
But we don't know if it expired.
You don't have
the government. That's AB 152. So Newsom could still sign it. He has until midnight Friday, tomorrow night. So
so that's what the cast members are screaming about. What if they catch COVID and they have to be out for more than 3? Now they can't use those 80 hours. They have to use this dumb whatever hours missed system.
Right, and maybe Disney knows if Newsom's going to sign it, because when Newsom backed out of the healthcare bill, when he was trying to do like single payer healthcare for all of California, it had already passed the assembly and everything, all their legislature, and then he was going to do it and then backed out. And then they found out there was a lot of money given to like a PAC, like in the last few days. He did an about face. So, it is. So here's the thing, and I'm telling you this, so I got to be careful. But I will say this, as an HR director, attendance is the most nuisance heavy thing HR has to deal with.
Yeah.
Because it's a nuisance because of whatever plan you have. There's people who just don't abide by it, especially during the great, quote unquote, great resignation period, right? Because there's some people who just will, They just, even if they don't care about their jobs, they won't even give you the dignity of saying I quit. They'll just not show up. And then you're just like trying to contact them and you're trying to do good faith and they would just disappear. All right. So it's a nuisance thing. Every manager is always complaining about, like there could be a fire, like a facility burning down. That, okay, whatever, we'll deal with it. But somebody who's missing a lot of days, they're blowing up my phone. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. And so, and I get it because it does affect operations. So what it is, from what I read, is that now they've kind of made it to where it's more in line with the rest of corporate America, to where if you miss 3 days, the one difference that I did see was that in most companies, not all companies, but I'd say most companies, it was like you needed a doctor's note if you miss more than 3 days. They're saying you could get disciplined if you miss more than 3 days. So I think that's the slight difference between that and the rest of, you know, the
I didn't
jobs.
understand what they meant by currently they have a point system, and that's what the cast members are used to.
Well, I was just going through the
meant
Twitter and see what they're complaining about. They didn't mention, I mean, they might have had a different system. Obviously, the system was different.
Yeah.
But they were just...
the complaint was about the 3 day thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And whatever they had before, I guess, allowed for that.
Yeah.
And the problem...
if they had enough points, they can take however many days off.
Yeah, maybe that was the case, or just a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is for operations, is like, well, especially when you really need people there, and I think this is the Great Resignation and attendance is kind of a good wake up call for just, you know, companies in general. Is like your labor makes your money, so treat them well. Right? Your labor does make your money.
And we'll go into what's going on at Disney right now because of this.
Yeah. But from an attendance standpoint, from a policy standpoint, I don't think the policy is super ridiculous. It's just that they're used to having something different, you know, more lax.
Yeah.
The problem with having it more lax is that, and here's the thing, in California, legally, you're encouraged to be more lax. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't know what kind of legal stuff this is going to present for Disney, because if let's say somebody has a doctor's note. Like for me, if somebody has a doctor's note, I'm going to work with you. Just communicate with me, and it's whatever. You know, not whatever. Like, you know, I mean, because there's people who fake doctor's notes and stuff like that.
Well, the people who fake it are, you know.
There's a company in California who fires somebody who has documented illness or is documented. Let's say, because for FMLA, a lot of people, I'm going to give you a little HR. There's federal protections for people, but you know, that are like pregnant or have to go out on leave or have to take care of stuff. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on if you're the employer or the employee, that doesn't kick in usually till a year of work and 1,250 hours worked. So a lot of people who are brand new to a company, if something happens to you in that first year, typically you're not eligible for federal protections, right? Not even state protections. You know, and you know, there's some exceptions, but so what happens is that for the people who have worked there first year, you really have to. So let's say you've worked there 6 months, and you get sick. They're saying like, well, what if I sprain my ankle and I can't walk around, and my job is to walk around, I'm going to be off for 4 days. Why do I get written up for something that is an injury? Yeah. And even if I provide you documentation that, look, the doctor's telling me that I'm out. Yeah. I can see a legitimate complaint about that.
And then you get written up.
Yeah. And then it's cumulative. So then it's like, okay, well, if I miss 6 days, now I got a second warning. I could technically miss a week and get fired, right? Yeah. or like a week and a half. So I could see that. My thing is Disney's already they're doing it probably in response to the labor shortage. I don't see how firing people gets you out of that. I don't see how, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird.
I think they thought of it as encouraging cast members to not call out so often.
Yeah. But the cast members the people who are playing you don't care about discipline anyway. That's the one thing I've learned about in HR. The people who are going to call out because they got a party to go to or because they're hungover, they don't care if you fire them anyway. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of ROI on this new policy, right? I think having a policy is great, but acting like lowering a hammer down and acting like you're going to get disciplined if you do this, or you're going to get disciplined if you do that. It's like that only affects your loyal people who are like probably showed up every day, might have perfect attendance, and they're worried, well, what if I get sick? Because those are the people who are strategic, right? People who are good employees usually are the ones who plan out all their time.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are organized. They're the ones who don't have a lot going on but work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if they get sick and they know that they're going to, on the fourth day, if they can't come back and they know they're going to get written up, they would rather quit than get written up. And then now you lost a good employee.
Your poor performing employees probably didn't even read the policy. They're not complaining.
And they don't care. Write me up. I'm sick.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm sick. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you if you make me come to work.
Exactly.
So those are the bad employees, right?
Yeah. And the one thing that I always tell managers and stuff, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you have poor performing employees, why would you want to make your poorest performing employee rich? If you're going to shell out a lawsuit worth of money, even if it's only 50 grand, why not? Wouldn't you want to give that to your highest performing employees?
Yeah.
Usually, and this is true, lawsuits aren't typically filed. People think that most lawsuits are filed by these, because we see the news stories about, oh, this person was sexually harassed and they finally got paid, or this person was, shot by the cops and their family got $20 million. We tend to look at lawsuits as justice, but those are the things that are highlighted in the news.
Yeah.
Most people who sue aren't your highest former employees.
The ones who don't deserve it.
Well, it's not that they don't. It's not that the company didn't do anything wrong. It's just that they got fed up with a low performing employee and probably made one mistake.
Yes.
And then they have to pay out.
Yeah.
The high performing employee who quits because they're fed up usually just gets a better job and forgets about it.
Yes.
They don't sue. That's the sad part of the system, So, yeah, it's a weird thing, man.
Yeah. So what this new thing is making cast members kind of do like an organized strike kind of thing by calling out a lot, like at the same time. And it's really sad because in Pooh's Corner, there's snacks on Main Street at the Candy Palace. You whole drawer of snacks. Like everyone, Disney World, Disneyland has the same case of snacks with cookies, marshmallows, whatever,
freshly
Rice
made
Krispie treats. So at Pooh's Corner, the last time we went, it was all filled up, right, with cookies, churro, toffee, whatever. But now when you go back there, it's just those cookies, those boxed cookies that you buy, and that's all they have
Store
in there.
packaged stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cast member said, oh, it's because we don't have staffing. And when you go to, what's that place called? Tropical Hideaway, where they have the Dole Whip float, they don't have hot foods anymore because there's nobody there to make it. There's low staff. So, yeah.
And they're saying that that's related to this particular policy, new policy?
They're saying that, yes, cast members are kind of like an organized strike where they're just all calling out sick, like, hey, I don't like this policy.
They used to call that, because cops do that, they used to call it the blue flu.
Yeah.
It's like it's not an official strike.
Right.
It's just that a lot of people call out on the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing this before 10-1. It's like, oh, now that we have a system, we might as well use up all our points now, I guess, and just call out before we get penalized for calling out on Saturday, starting Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously in HR, I don't agree with that. But it's like you get, but I get it where, I could see frustration.
Yeah, where Disney's trying to get their cast members to show up more and making a more strict policy or whatever for attendance. But then at the same time, you got to treat your cast members well because downstream wise, it affects the guest experience. Now the guest experience sucks because there's no cast members there. And
a lot of this, and this is what people don't understand, a lot of this stuff can be avoided by better engagement by corporate and line staff. Because they're so far apart. Yeah. Corporate people probably don't even visit the parks a lot.
Yeah.
That there's really no one-on-one stuff. There's no FaceTime. There's no anything. That's why when people, we're going to have a bound bag or we're going to do this, it's like, well, that's usually in a response to a crisis. There needs to be what they used to call management by walking around. They need to have the suits come in, enjoy the park, get to know people. I would like institute programs, and I know people think this is wild. I'll institute programs to where if you are like upper management, like a director or above, you there's a certain sector of the parks or whatever that's your not yours, like you're over them, like from a chain of command standpoint, but part of your job is to visit with them and know their names and just socialize with them like monthly. You know what I mean? Because when you have that familiarity, I can't speak. You don't have a disconnect. You're not looking at them just as a spreadsheet.
Yeah. They're not a number.
Someone gets pregnant, you're like, oh my, wow, she what'd she do? It's like, oh man, last time I saw her.
Like even during the shutdown, when our CEO came on twice a week to talk to us about the pandemic, we felt really connected with him.
Yeah.
We all liked him after that. Unfortunately, he stepped down. But even that was enough. We're like, oh, he's talking to us. And he was like more engaging, like, hey, this is what's going on. Here's the data. Here's what's happening. Yeah. Here's where you...
and Disney's a place that needs... You would think Disney would be more social than your company.
Yeah.
Your company's just corporo cyberpunk, Right. Disney's a place that's supposed to be magical and family-oriented. So when you communicate stuff and then you need to roll out a policy, it's like, hey, guys... We're having a big problem with the tenants. What you do is you get buy-in from the staff. One of two things will happen. One, if you do have to roll out a more restrictive policy, it's going to be basically more receptive. But
like,
even before you have to,
this coming.
But even before you have to roll out a policy, other staff members would be like, dude, this person's never showing up. They're going to be mad at the people that aren't showing up.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like coming to you, hey, what can we do about this?
Yeah.
Right? It's always better when the staff comes to you and says, hey, we need to fix this problem. Instead of you saying, hey, I have a problem, so now I'm going to penalize everyone because I have a problem.
Yeah.
It could be the same policy, by the way.
Right.
By the way. But when the staff thinks it's a problem and they realize it, they're like, I have to take on a double shift or do twice the work because this person keeps partying and coming in sick. And they're coming to you to solve the problem. That's the way the company should work.
Yes.
And a lot of companies don't get that.
Or they
because I guarantee you there's going to be a lawsuit coming out of this.
Well, yeah. And
because somebody's going to have a disease.
The union signed it.
Well, the union, they're mad at the union, too.
Yeah, they're mad at the union.
Because they got a weak union. Most unions are pretty weak nowadays. But, yeah. But what's going to happen is, and I'm going to tell you, is that they're thinking of, like, basic stuff. Because the thing is employment law is law. It's just like tax law. It's a huge field. And I think what people are, they think they come up with a policy that says, okay, we had our lawyers look at this and they said the policy is okay. This is what I tell everybody, and I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast before, but I tell everybody about lawyers. There's lawyers. If you want something done and a lawyer is an employee too, whether they're contracted, whether outside or inside counsel. And lawyers are also they're susceptible to pressure just like any other employee.
From the client.
Yeah. So if you tell your average lawyer, and there's different types of lawyers, hey, I want to get this done. Can we do this? And if all the lawyer has to do is give a yes or no answer, they'll say yes. Typically, as long as you're not breaking the law, they're going to tell you yes. A good lawyer who's like not scared of you, who manages up, and that's a good employee. It's not just a good lawyer,
but give you the risk.
Yes.
If you do this, here's the risk.
Here's the risk.
Now you get your upper management to approve and take the risk.
I don't even say that. I give people, and I try to teach my report this as well. I say, put it into their language. Don't put it into your language.
Yeah.
Explain something like if they were 10. Right? Yeah. And a lot of people don't like doing that because they're supposed to be more educated. I was like, no. You have to hit that emotional button. So I say, look, if you ask an engineer, consider like if you hired an engineer, just like you would hire a lawyer, if you can drive a car that is 4 feet wide down a 5 foot wide alley at 60 miles an hour, and all you're looking for is a yes or no answer, a bad engineer is going to say, yes, you can. Should you? That's what you pay for. You have to get executives to understand you're not paying for the yes or no. You're paying for the should you or shouldn't you.
Yeah.
And should you do that? No. Unless you're a stunt driver, you're gonna smash that car.
Well, you give them the risk. The risk is you might die.
You might.
So if you want to take that risk,
the risk is you're probably going to die, or at least at the very least mess up that car.
Low, medium, high.
Right.
So
the chances of you not hitting anything are very low, right? And the chances of all your managers knowing employment law inside and out, that's not what you hired them for. They don't know that.
Right. You're there to tell them.
And so they're going to check the boxes like, does this person are eligible for FMLA? No. Does this person have a doctor's note? No. They forgot this person said that they're diabetic, like on week 2, and it was in an email that's discoverable, so which is a disability. And now, yes, it doesn't fall under FMLA. It doesn't fall under Title VII. It's not like a race, sex, gender.
Discrimination type of thing.
But they forgot the ADA. There's always a bunch of alphabets that you got to remember. And now it's like, well, did you know this person had a disability? No. Well, they said they had diabetes in an email on September 3rd. You don't think diabetes is a disability? Well, so why did you fire this person? Well, they were out because
My lawyer said I could.
My lawyer said I could is never going to get you out of paying a lawsuit. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's right now, the only people that are happy with this are scuzzy outside lawyers who are like, ooh, I think, if I can get 7 of these people, it's a class. And now I can do a class action. And now I can get Disney, and because the lawyers, and all that money from class action lawsuits, like half goes to the lawyer anyway.
Yeah.
Probably more than half.
You know how many settlement checks my sister has gotten? Because she's worked for retail. Mm-hmm. And retail is like, Sephora, whatever.
Yeah.
Bath and Body, I don't know, whatever. But she's gotten so many. It's like, at this point, do these companies even, care? Mm-hmm. Or they just pay out?
Well, no, because it's cheaper to pay out than to go through a trial and lose. Especially if you're going to lose against
but in the beginning, they should have mitigated that risk all the way to the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they end up settling most of the time because a lot of people think they just settle because it's cheaper, which is true. But the reason it's cheaper is because if you get another person, because that lawyer is going to be like, okay, now it's wasting my time. I was just looking for $100,000.
Yeah.
But now if I'm going to have to spend my time working on this, I'm going to look for another person and another person and another person. Yeah. And now I'm going to turn this into a class action.
Yeah.
And now a class action is going to get me $1 million.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to retire because you made a dumb policy that you thought was the 10 Commandments.
It's always over giving employees breaks. Mm-hmm. Having sufficient break time.
Yeah.
It's always that. And dude, don't you know you work more than 4 hours, you need a break. And it's always about break time.
Yeah.
So,
and it's hard, So you got to be very careful living and dying by a policy. A policy is not good. There's even other things like past practice. Like if you have a policy, but you never did that, practice that policy, that policy is null and void.
Yeah. Now it's just
because
past practices.
Yeah, they're gonna say, okay, this is our policy, and you're gonna sort of say, we fired this person because they violated this policy. Okay, but what's your practice been with every other employee? Did you let them come in late? Well, yeah, but they still violated the policy. No, one, that's not equal treatment, but 2, that's not your practice.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, but we have a policy.
It's written down. It's
written
black down.
And white. They signed that they would abide on the policy on their first day.
Yeah,
it's like, nah, dude. It is very tricky. And now you have a bunch because you didn't engage. And again, this all starts with engagement. This is why I'm stressing this. Engage with your staff, because when your staff thinks it's an issue and they come to you and they demand a policy,
they don't like surprises.
Yeah.
If you
they don't like being disrespected.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a good employee who always comes to work, now you're thinking, why am I being punished?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you had talked about this every week or whatever for since summer.
Yeah.
Or whenever, since January, let's say, then when you announced it in June, they're like, oh yeah, we saw this coming because they were harping about this since June, right? Since January.
Yeah.
Because this thing was announced in June and it surprised the cast members. Like, wow, where did this come from? Kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And And I get it in June because that's during the Great Resignation. Before leading up to that, right, was the Great Resignation. So a lot of people left and got better jobs or started their own business. Mm-hmm. And so if they had just once a month or even once a week just said, hey, we have attendance problems, what can we do, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Then you hear them harp about it. Then by the time the announcement comes out, they're like, yeah, we saw this coming.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, we can. Sometimes people learn the hard way. I mean, I'm not. And by the way, I'm not saying that I'm perfect when it comes to this stuff. I'm just saying that the intention. You should always have good intentions. You should always engage with staff. You should always, at least try, make your best attempt to accommodate when possible. Because bad things do happen to people in their lives, and you should. And a good employee should be supportive. You shouldn't just be like, "Oh, we're having an issue. This is the new law. This is the new law of the land." And then because now people are looking for you to fail. Now, every policy has holes in it. Doesn't matter who wrote it. The best attorneys in there. Why would you want people angry at you looking for those holes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want people to support the policy because it helps them too. Because they're part of the company. They're part of the family.
Yeah.
That's what you want when you come out with a new policy. But we'll see. More to come. But now...
It's Taste Talk with Tracy. Mash some magic in your mouth.
So we had talked about this before, and I said I would try it during Oogie Boogie Bash, and I did. I tried the non-basic pumpkin spice horchata cold brew. And with whiskey added to it, with Irish whiskey. It was a little bit on the sweet side. I won't get it again. It's not something I'll get again. First of all, I don't like pumpkin spice anything, but it was too sweet. So, but with the whiskey, it was okay. It was tolerable. But I think that just the horchata cold brew itself is fine. You don't need
it was fine.
I don't know if it's because it's that Joffrey cart that makes it sweet. Because when we had the regular horchata cold brew at the other restaurant in Disneyland, it was good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's one of those things that's not. If you buy it, you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So, but
the non-alcoholic one might be too sweet. That's what
for you
told
don't
me.
like sweet stuff.
Yeah, one of my friends told me, and she's Asian too, so maybe she doesn't like sweet stuff either.
There's plenty of Asians who like sweet stuff.
No, because Asian food is not sweet. Like our cake is so bland.
You're only one type of Asian.
Well, she said it was way too sweet. I'm like, well, it wasn't that sweet. It's sweet, but not that sweet. But maybe I got the whiskey in it that kind of diluted the sweetness. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, we'll be bringing more holiday stuff probably for the rest of the year because honestly, we're going to get a lot of special stuff all the way through the end of February, right? Because there's different food festivals that are coming up too.
Just the holiday ones. So right now it's all the Halloween treats, and then after that's going to be the Christmas or holiday treats. Yeah. Then after that, maybe Lunar New Year. I don't know. Last year's Lunar New Year was kind of a bust because of the staffing shortage and the 5 booths that were there. And then remember how everything was so packed? Yeah. Then I got mad and I'm like, forget this. I'm not coming back.
You always say that. You always get mad and then do the opposite.
No, I just come back on a Wednesday and then just eat everything and say I ate it, but really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, or no, I go make it myself. And I'm like,
sometimes.
Like the tiger tea or whatever. I went and bought it myself somewhere else. Like, here.
All right. Now it's time for...
So, Deadpool / Wolverine will join the MCU. And they said it's coming Hune. 9/6/24, September 6, 2024.
Yeah.
Coming Hune.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds did 2 pretty funny videos.
Yeah.
Announcing it.
With Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I'll admit this. I never really was stoked with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Because in the comics he's super short, he's more gruff. Hugh Jackman's tall and nice. Even though he acts mean, I don't really buy him being mean.
Yeah.
Because he's just such a nice guy.
Yeah.
It seems like, you know.
All Australians are nice, I guess.
No.
Maybe not.
He is. He's nice. You know. I have a couple friends who've met him, and they even vouch that he's really nice. But
You got an Australian and a Canadian. It's like all nice.
but the thing is that to people who didn't read the comics, like he's their Wolverine, who only saw the X-Men movies.
Oh.
So they love it. And so
Yeah.
for the vast majority, it's like they can't see anybody but him. Because Wolverine in the comics would probably best be played by what's his name?
Jon Snow.
I call him Jon Snow. I can't forget his name.
Kit Harington.
Kit Harington. Yeah, that's how he would look, just with more facial hair. He'd be this short, ripped guy, just really short.
Yeah.
Because I think he's only like 5'4" in the comics or something. But he's got an attitude, and he's just mean, and he like chops people up. Like he's mean. Like he's the first superhero that actually killed people in the comics. That was actually a hero.
Yeah.
You know, there was villains who did that, but he was a hero. So he was kind of like the first anti-hero. And
I'm just surprised. Not surprised, but it's a big deal that Deadpool is joining the MCU. Like, talk about people were mad that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all them were joining Disney Plus. And say, oh, this is going to ruin Disney's image. It's not Disney. Deadpool is even worse. That makes like Daredevil like, I don't know,
I think
a Disney character.
Yeah.
So Deadpool's like.
But I mean, here's the thing. They have to have him because once you buy Fox and he's their biggest movie
but
thing
I'm just
in
wondering
Fox,
what noise, how complaints are going to come after
believe it
this.
or not, I don't think there's going to be a lot of noise.
But why were they complaining about Daredevil? Daredevil didn't do anything.
I think, well, that was on Disney Plus for one.
Yeah, this will be.
But now there's a precedent. And I think that people who make the most noise are people who like don't want a black Little Mermaid. People who
they don't want Deadpool.
They don't want She-Hulk twerking. You know what I mean?
And they want Deadpool and his like
but I mean
nasty jokes.
The positive stuff, it's going to be so big, it's going to outweigh. People make stories out of those people because it's like slow news days. It's like, oh, we're against those people. We don't like those people, so we can make a story about it, right? It's all about clicks on all sides, you know? I think that most people, Deadpool's such a successful franchise that it's just going to be like the people who complain look kind of silly. You know what I mean? It's like they're going to be ignored. In other words, like that stuff, they're going to be drowned out. It's not like they could cancel Deadpool. You could cancel theoretically like a She-Hulk or like a one Disney Plus series, but you're not going to cancel like a big franchise like Deadpool. Especially now that you have like Hugh Jackman and they're merging it in. Yeah. Especially since the MCU heads are very much upset that Phase 4 hasn't really connected with other stuff. This is going to be, I think, Phase 6. It starts Phase 6 because I think Wakanda Forever I think that ends Phase 4. It either ends Phase 4 or starts Phase 5. But I think it's right there. It's either starts or ends. And then 2024 we go into Phase 6, and then that's going to be.
Is it going to be before those Avenger movies?
Yeah, it's going to be the same year, I believe. And then, either a year, but I forget if it's 25 or 24. But yeah, it's going to be at the beginning of the. Well, no, it'll be at the end of the
September.
Year. So then, maybe it's like the Avengers of the next year, the 2025. So I think it's just going to be too big because everyone now, and the reason they gave the date, even though they haven't given a date for other stuff,
that's the thing that's
coming
like,
up before them, is because they said they want everyone to be like, look, mutants are coming, Wolverine's coming, Deadpool's coming. So don't give up on the MCU. we got this stuff coming, and we got a date. So look forward to it.
We actually have a date. It's not like those other D23 announcements with no dates.
Yeah.
So this,
I'm, it's not like I don't like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's just he doesn't match the comic version, but it doesn't matter. This is going to be huge. I'm going to love it. So, yeah.
Okay. So it looks like Figment is also getting his own movie.
Figment.
The fictional purple dragon.
Yeah.
featured in Journey into the Imagination attraction.
And was
at Epcot.
inside out in a picture.
Yeah, it said that. So the character was originally created in 1980s.
Well, you didn't see you saw Inside Out. You didn't see it?
No, I didn't know.
You didn't know who it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wasn't there something? Oh, Stranger Things had Figment in it. But for us Disneylanders, we don't really know who Figment is.
Yeah.
So we only knew about him when the whole popcorn bucket fiasco happened with the 6-hour wait for a Figment bucket.
Yeah, I knew the image. I just didn't know.
I had no idea
who it was.
I saw the dragon. I'm like, is this that electrical parade dragon? Because that's the only dragon I know besides Maleficent. But anyway, so now we know who he is. And yeah, he was featured in Inside Out. There was an image of him. And then he also appeared in Toy Story 4.
Yeah, and on a sign.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like he's getting his own movie.
Yeah, cool.
That's cool.
That's going to make a lot of the Disney World people very happy.
Yes.
And a lot of the California people very confused. But I guess if they make it quality, hey, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I think that's it for today.
That's all we have.
Cool. Well, like we said, we will be back at the parks on Saturday, October 1st. So those of you who are listening to this on a Friday, that's tomorrow. And if you see us, we'll be with 2 other people. But if you're the first to come up to us, you will win the wallet. Disney Princess Loungefly, full-sized wallet. All right. Remember to check us out on all the different streaming platforms, podcast platforms. Give us 5 stars or more, as many stars as you can give us, especially on Apple, iTunes, Spotify. And visit our site at ropedroppingknowledge.com. I think that's it. We'll be announcing a new giveaway for October next week. I'm Brian.
I'm Tracy.
Stay magical.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and visit us at www.ropedroppingknowledge.com.